Peace, what's going on, y'all? Once again, it's Coach Hussein back with another video. And here's what I want to talk about today. The reason as to why you are learning the combative arts, okay? So, I doom scroll a lot on social media. I'm pretty sure y'all do as well, okay? I'm just opening up and honest enough to admit that. But I seen a post that talked about Bruce Lee and his training. Right? Someone had written a post about something that he did in his application of Wing Chun in a street fight. And we all like to talk about how Bruce Lee won a whole lot of street fights and all this stuff. I'm not here to talk about whether or not he actually won these fights or the verification of these fights or the authenticity of the reports. But something came to mind because a lot of people always like to talk about, training for the street, quote unquote. And if we're really being honest with ourselves, most people who learn how to fight, they're not really learning how to fight for the streets, okay? And the reason why I say that is because pick a discipline, pick an art, it don't matter what that art is. I guarantee you when you're learning how to fight, you're learning what to do as it pertains to that skill, to that combative art that you're learning. For instance, if you are learning how to box, if you're learning boxing, what you're doing is you're learning about boxing as it pertains to boxing, period, point blank. You're not learning how to box to prepare yourself against a jiu-jitsu practitioner or a Thai fighter or a karateka, whatever the case may be. You're not learning how boxing can apply and how boxing can be used against a person of a different discipline. You're really not learning that, okay? If you're learning how to box, you're learning how to box, okay? You don't focus on takedowns in boxing. You focus on takedowns if you're learning jiu-jitsu or wrestling, but you don't do that when you're learning any other art. The art you're learning is preparing you how to fight against someone who is also skilled in said art. Does that make sense? I'm not learning how to slip a punch if I am learning how to grapple. I'm not doing that. A wrestler could tell you how to slip a punch, but that's not their strength because wrestling is not a striking art. It is a grappling art. Boxing has elements of grappling to it, but primarily it is a striking art. It's the same thing with Muay Thai. Now Muay Thai has both. Muay Thai has both striking and grappling because it's known as the art of 8 limbs. So you're learning how to punch, how to elbow, how to knee, and how to kick. And there's also clinching. And you're learning how to do all of those moves, kneeing, elbowing, well, with the exception of kicks. And you're also learning how to sweep your opponent, which I guess does involve kicks, but not kicks in the way you would throw. Like you wouldn't be in the clinch and throwing a roundhouse kick or a teep in the clinch. You're not doing that. But the point that I'm making is Muay Thai has a combination of both striking and grappling, okay? Now, what does all this have to do with street fighting? Because in the street, it's absolutely unpredictable. So when you talk about, I'm learning how to fight, I'm preparing myself for the street, you are, but you're not really and truly intent on doing that. Because if you were, then you wouldn't look for one particular art to handle yourself or protect yourself or defend yourself in the street. You would look for reality-based martial arts. You will look for reality-based training, okay? Because in the street, anything goes. Guys might pick up a stick, they might come through with a weapon, they might have a weapon on them. And if that's your mindset to train for the street, then you need to find an instructor that's going to prepare you for everything. You also need to learn how to disarm someone. You need to learn how to take a person's weapon from them. Don't get it twisted. Just because people have weapons doesn't mean that the use of their weapons makes your hand-to-hand skills obsolete. It doesn't, okay? Because there's plenty of footage you can find on YouTube right now where you have people who are attacking others with a weapon, and the person with the weapon gets defeated by the person who is unarmed, okay? Just because you're unarmed doesn't mean you will lose to an armed opponent, okay? or assailant, whatever the case may be. So, but the point of this video is to just be honest about why you're training. Don't say I'm training for the street when your training doesn't really reflect what happens in the street. And I want to harken back to a video I made a long while back ago, about how you should study street fighting. Most people, if you talk about training for the street, you look and see people fighting in the street and they don't have skill. Now, they emulate what they see professional fighters do, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have skill. Excuse me, y'all. Sorry, I'm walking through a whole crowd of people. But what they do, people who don't have any combat experience, or they have combat experience, they don't have combat training. So they go off what they see. It's strictly off of osmosis. Their stance, however, will tell you whether or not they actually know how to fight and what they do in the fight. But really and truly, they're just going off haymakers. The benefit of learning how to fight is that you have knowledge of what to do in a particular situation, primarily in an uncontrolled situation, an uncontrolled environment. But if you're being honest, saying I'm training for the street is not really a sincere thing to say. What you should say is, the primary goal is I want to be capable of defending myself against any threat that comes my way. That's what you should be training for, okay? You shouldn't be training to say in the street, because a fight can break out anywhere. So the goal is to learn how to fight so that when danger is imminent, you can handle yourself. That's it, okay? But don't say I'm training for the street. Just be honest for why you train. You may not even concern yourself with trying to train to protect yourself. You could just love the sport you're training. You could just love boxing. I always wanted to learn boxing, so I'm learning boxing. I always wanted to learn Muay Thai, so I want to learn Muay Thai. I always wanted to learn karate, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatever the case may be. It's okay to learn those arts for those reasons, but just be honest about why you're training and what you're training for, okay? Like me personally, I train so that I can protect myself against any threat that comes my way. I'm not looking to say, well, this could work in the street. Could these techniques that I've learned work in the street? Yes. But it's also situational. I'm not going to throw a certain tech or do a certain move on someone if the situation doesn't tell me that that's what I should do. Your opponent actually dictates what you do anyway. Okay? But these are just some thoughts I had. I just wanted to share this real quick. I just want to put this out there. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel. And as always, train daily. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.